To answer the question of why I would have joined RTTL or why anyone would have joined Return to the Land, I suppose you would have to know what that is. I'm not going to give an explanation in this video, except by proxy in what I talk about. I'm assuming that if you clicked on this video or searched this up, you already have an idea of what it is, or at least you've heard about it, what we've been called and what we're doing. This is going to be less of a objective approach to what it is or the qualities of it, but what drew me to it and kind of a little bit of my background. So this is the first video of this kind that I've done, more of just talking about my personal life, which is a little bit out of my purview, but we'll give it a try. We'll hope it goes well. So to lay the context of why someone like me would join RTTL, I was the second to last birth year of the 1900s. So 1998 is my birth year. I grew up in a world dramatically different than previous generations. Perhaps not so different in terms of the post-World War consensus or modern and postmodernism, but the effect of it on the generation, I would say people within my age demographic were some of the first to experience the rapid and abiding decline of traditional Western values, civilization as a whole. So growing up in a world where pressure has been placed on your personage before you're even truly sentient. I remember in my very formidable younger teenage years feeling a sense of spiritual anxiety about the state of the world, as many people just commonly take for granted that it is. And I didn't fully know why that was until I got a little bit older and experienced what the controlling forces of my world are here in the West. And I would say that is the underlying framework that led me to where I am now as a member and associate of RTTL and as a part of what we're seeking to build here. Some of the particularities could be formulated by the way in which I de-indoctrinated from a rather younger age. I had a really good dad in a rather conservative classical nuclear family environment for most of my life. I was raised to think critically and to judge the world with humility, but also as an observer of contradiction. That led me into philosophical training, historical study. And what I came to find is that a lot of the angst I felt about the world was a imposed product of the state of the world that we are in, not the cosmological nature of the world itself. And that led me to question alternatives. One example of that could be egalitarianism and individualism. The idea that you are here on your own, an abstract economic unit in capitalism, or an abstract personal unit with autonomy over your own choices, your body, your choice kind of thing, exempt from accountability. These are things that we just were raised believing. This is the world we function in. And it brings you a lot of failure and anxiety and quite isolation, because that's not how the world is meant to function. We're meant to function with others, with our family, with our tribe, with our people. We were born that way for a reason. God made us that way as a manifestation of his natural order. And that would be one of the key things that would have led to my drive to seek out a community like RTTL. In the world, you're left on your own. Nobody loves you and nobody cares about you, really. Nobody will sacrifice for you, because after all, we're all in it for ourselves. There is no clan or tribalism. There is no camaraderie, because, well, that would be some kind of racism or primitive medieval thinking structure. But it doesn't change the fact that it was impressed upon me at a very young age, and I began to seek out for a type of tribe, for a type of clan. As many raised the way I did looked for. We looked for it in the church. We looked for it in sports and perhaps even partnerships at work and business. And what we find is these are inefficient copies of the real thing, because they're not put in us. They're something we seek out by our own free will. I can choose my religion, I can choose where I work, I can choose the sport I do or who I associate with. But God had already made a choice for me, and that was to be born of a people of my same blood and kin, and to congregate with them as we seek to uphold and fulfill our common destiny, which was not chosen by me or them. It was chosen by our God and the nature of the world that we live in. And there is the point of coming to notice that as a anthropological framework, and then there's the point of doing it. My father taught me that there really is no believing without doing, and it's a very valuable principle that's guided me. And so as I came to this belief, I looked for it, and I was able to find people who were seeking to do that within this organization, people who are seeking to collectivize around tribe and kin, collectivize around our shared common good, which was put within us by our Creator, and without each other, there can be no sense of fulfillment in that. I won't belabor that point. I want to move on to the political framework that I think a lot of people my age or younger, and maybe even a little bit older, grew up in. Political discourse is borderline nonsensical. It's the most reductionistic, lowest common denominator type of rhetoric and argumentation that anyone's ever heard. And I always found it to be quite obnoxious, and I find that if I could summarize my perception of what happens, is it is people complaining about the state of affairs and then relying on the current structure that made that state of affairs in order to change it, because that makes sense. Again, these people are not taught logic in school. The people who uphold this, if they know it, are willfully ignorant or malicious actors. But we complain. Republicans complain about the Democrats, and Democrats complain about the Republicans, and everybody interprets the Constitution however they feel and see fit. And they expect that by performing the same argumentation and the same reduce to the meme that has been performed for the last 150 years, somehow things will change. And they never do, and they never will. RTTL is a place that I can change something. I can change the people who I have a positive impact on. People can change me as they have a positive impact on me. We can build families more effectively together because we have each other's back and we support each other. We can live as a political and sociological order that is distinct from all of the reductionistic absurdity of the common world. And that is one of the reprieves that I have received within RTTL, is rather than just complaining ad nauseum about all of the problems of the world, we seek to address the problems of the world as they face us and as we can face them with the things we can touch, not just the things we can talk about. And I find that to be a tremendous benefit and wealth of production that exist in our communities that I don't see very much elsewhere. I cannot honestly make a video discussing my reasons for joining Return to the Land without at least mentioning some of the controversy surrounding us as a people and around the organization itself. And I think a lot of people who would watch this video are somewhat aware of it. The controversy that surrounds our people has nothing to do with the actions that we perform. We are despised and hated for things that our ancestors did. We grew up in a world that to be born white is to be born with innate guilt and evil, that we are supposed to be, replaced by the racial other for the entire purpose that we are a particular type of oppressive force in this world. We are supposed to feel the guilt and shame of things that our ancestors did that were supposedly evil. and all of the past things that white Europeans and European Americans have done, we're supposed to pay reparations for that. Not only in the social and economic level, we are supposed to pay for that with our blood, with our soul. We are supposed to imbibe the guilt of our people in some sacrificial, Talmudic ritual that has been devised by our oligarchs. This is a controversy that surrounds us as a people that I was aware of at a rather young age. RTTL dips its toes in the controversy because we simply say no. We are not going to live in guilt for things that were supposedly evil and supposedly we should be ashamed of. We're not going to be ashamed of our fathers and mothers who fought for our survival and maintained a purpose for our future existence. And doing that will be called evil. If our survival is called evil when it happened in the Crusades in the medieval era, when it happened in the wars of Europe and the founding of these United States of America, then our survival will be considered racist and evil and xenophobic when we do it today. But there is no better time to survive than when you are still alive. As a living soul myself, I want to secure the survival of my people, my family, my children, for them to survive as this nation becomes more and more detrimentally wicked and violent, more anti-Christian, more anti-white, and more filled with people who will do us harm as the white population decreases rapidly in the United States and is filled up by the racial other who have these founding mythos against our people, against our existence. I want a safe space where I can raise my children, bring up my people, and secure the inheritance that my forefathers planned to me and died for many times. If I can't do that, I'm not honoring my father and mother. I'm not honoring the God who placed this destiny in our hands. And so because of that, while it may be a more controversial point, I think that those who are either unaware or ambivalent to the problems facing us are outside of my purview of understanding, I should say. I don't see how anyone can ignore the extraordinary anti-white sentiment of our political and academic mainstream. I don't know how anyone can ignore the countless and needless, unbelievable levels of violence and brutality committed against white people every single day in this country. And it's something that has to be accounted for. We don't have political say. We don't control the media. We can't elect politicians who will advocate for our principles. We are not able to bring about some systematic change of the structure itself, but we live. And to secure our survival is the first principle of natural law, and therefore we must do it where we can do it. And RTTL, I believe, is a place where I can, in some small way, in a micro form, seek to secure the survival of my own blood. And if I can't do that, what would be the purpose of living? I can eat and drink, for tomorrow I die, but I want to live. I want to live forever, and I want my blood to be prosperous on the earth. And that can't happen if we're gunned down by random, violently minded racial others in the streets as they go unprosecuted and get off on $500 bail after they just, did an armed robbery for the 1,000th time. These are the problems facing our nation, the problems that are facing these United States and our people. And while I can't change the nation, I'm not the dictator or the king of the world, I have very little say in what our nation does. We all know at this point that the vote doesn't matter. But my vote of confidence goes to those I trust and those I love. Those who love me and will fight for me, I will fight for, and I will love them. And that is the reciprocity that RTTL has. And it's very white-pilling, to use a modern slang. It's very encouraging to see that we're actually not alone in this world. There are people who care for us, not because there's some in clandestine moral obligation. They care for us because they are us. We love each other because we love ourselves, and we love each other as we love ourselves because we are each other. We're in this together, whether we like it or not. We may have different ideology, we may have slight diversity of hair and eye color, but we are the same people. The same fathers who fought for one of us fought for all of us. Our existence is dependent upon one another, and I hope that we will be able to secure that for one more generation and our children in the next. But if we don't try, if we don't work for it, nothing good has ever been accomplished by doing nothing. No change has ever been made on a micro or a massive level except by those who seek to do it. And we here in RTTL are those who seek to do something to positively affect our people, to positively change the structure first of our own lives, then the lives of our children, then the lives of our neighbor, our brothers, our sisters, those who we have been given by God to safeguard and secure. And we will be able to do that because we have hope and we have faith and we have each other. And that is why I joined RTTL. I know that there are many other organizations that are seeking to do this, and I support them. I just happen to be a part of this organization. I support people who want to fight for their people. It is the lot that we are placed on this earth. If we cannot secure our survival, nothing else matters. No amount of material wealth or pleasure will suffice when we die if we have not left it to our children, an inheritance, a multi-generational faithfulness that is able to be seen when we are long gone and passed away. And while our enemies will seek to use the white guilt and disenfranchisement of our people to call us the names that no longer mean anything to us, what is important to us is that we won't feel guilt when we know what we are doing is right. We don't care if we are called hateful when we know that what we're doing is most loving and good. And for that reason, we will continue to do it, and so shall our children, and more will come along and do the same. As things get dramatically worse, which unfortunately they shall, we must be better. We must not give in to the destruction of the modern world, the world that our ancestors built. If we are truly and indeed their children, it is our responsibility, our duty, our divine mandate to uphold what they have fought and died for, what they have labored and thought for. We must do the same, and we shall, because their blood runs within our veins. Their God is our God, and we shall maintain the goal of their destiny for 100 million years in the future. As long as the world shall remain, we will be here fighting, and this is how I am fighting now. This is my story, why I joined RTTL. I hope to see you there. If you have any questions, I'm happy to address them in the comment section. I'm happy to give you guys more material. Maybe I'll link some material in the description about like what our organization is, some of our leaders. I assume if you've clicked on this video, you probably know who some of our leaders are because, you know, we're in some hot water some of the time here, but I'll try to give you guys the resources that you ask for. If you find this video helpful, give it a like. I'll probably post some more content about this in the future since I'm out of the closet or something. Okay, but I digress. I hope you all have a good day. God bless.